Dear Mr. A&R, we all struggling artists. Realize the world is cold, but we came here to spark it. Swimming little guppies in a sea full of sharks. It's gonna take a miracle to not end up harmed.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Inside the Six with Ian and Thomas.
Hi, everybody.
Unfortunately, we will not be live this week, as you've probably noticed. We're still working out some technical difficulties. I don't know what's going on. I'm doing a lot of research to try and figure it out. And as soon as we are live, we'll be back up on Tuesdays. Until then,
you get what you get.
We have a lot of Premier League news to talk about, as usual.
Yeah. Still my favorite season.
It just keeps getting better and better.
That's true.
Things just seem to be working out for some teams, and things just aren't for others. And there are some things that I expect to happen here within the next week.
And some of them I'm surprised have not happened.
Oh, absolutely. We'll start with the league leaders. Liverpool had another pretty big challenge this week. Went up against Leicester. Went up 1-0. Leicester equalized in the 80th minute. And in the 90th +5, on the brink, Mr. Reliable, as they've been calling him,
Yep.
scores another penalty.
The machine. James Milner.
James Milner scored another penalty. I don't think I've ever seen him miss a penalty. I don't know if he has missed a penalty. That's probably a good idea. He slots it home, and there was a lot of debate as to whether or not it should have even been a penalty. Yes. I looked at it. Yes. As somebody who's a fan of a team who's also chasing Premier League glory this season, and I kind of want Liverpool to lose so that my team can possibly get ahead despite how far behind they are right now. It was a penalty.
It was definitely a penalty. I won't say that Sadio Mane didn't sell it a little bit, but he was definitely fouled. I mean, he stepped all over his foot. He was going to go down.
Yeah.
I think he embellished maybe a little bit, but it was definitely a penalty. And James Milner stepped up to the spot and with ice in his veins, slotted it home for the winner.
As usual.
So that puts Liverpool 8 points clear at the end of week 8.
Yeah. 8 games, 8 wins, 8 points clear over City. Who I guess we'll talk about next.
Might as well. They had a rough week.
They did not have a good week.
I won't say they had a bad week because they played well. I just think Wolves played better. Wolves stuck to their game plan, put it to work. They played a 3-5-2, and they just jammed up the midfield.
If I remember, is the formation that they played when
they played Norwich?
When they played
Norwich played?
No, okay, so they played a 4-2-3-1. I'm not even close. Don't forget me. I'm stupid.
But, I mean, they played that 3-5-2, and Nuno's game plan, to me, looked like just make it hard for them to get through the midfield and hit them hard on a counterattack every time you have the opportunity. And for 90-plus minutes, that's exactly what Wolverhampton did. They never backed down. They never showed their head. And I'm telling you, it worked flawlessly. You could see the frustration on the Manchester City players' faces.
And when players like that, don't get me wrong, the entire Man City squad, the depth of their squad is amazing. Even the substitutes, I mean, are fantastic players. The problem is players like that, when they get frustrated, because sometimes they'll get frustrated very easily, tend to kind of start not playing as well.
I don't even think that happened in that game. I mean, they got frustrated because their game plan didn't work, and for some reason or another, Pep Guardiola just didn't change it. Or if he did change it, they were so minor of a change that it just didn't work. Wolverhampton put their game plan to work, and they never wavered from it because it started working immediately. And Adama Traore, who has not scored a goal in almost a year, and I think it's actually been longer. I may have that stat wrong. Scored 2 really good goals. One was with an assist from Raul Jimenez, and the second one was, the same thing, except he was by himself, and he took the goalkeeper out of the game.
And at that point, it was the second goal was in the 90th plus 4.
Yeah.
So the game was basically already over. That was just like, hey, guess what? Yep, we beat you. We did it just a little bit more than we had to.
Yeah.
Which teams tend to do that against bigger teams. When they know that they're winning, they get excited because they have that, oh my God, we should not be winning this game. What is happening? Let's keep going. Fantastic game from Wolves. You said it perfectly. They played exactly how they wanted to. City just couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
The next big game I want to talk about, and I'm repping the closest jersey I have to a Brighton kit. That was unexpected.
But it was sure fun to watch.
But it sure was fun to watch. I will say, and to the Tottenham fans, okay, yes, I understand Hugo Lloris went out injured early. I'm sorry, you can't use that excuse.
And the simple fact that Hugo Lloris had already allowed a goal.
Yeah.
Before he went out.
But you look at Liverpool. Liverpool are playing their backup goalkeeper, and they have been all season, and they're winning game after game after game after game.
Yeah, Gazaniga. And I think the commentators in the game actually said something along these lines. This guy he's in the shadow of Hugo Lloris, and I'm sure on the training pitch he gets plenty of time. There's plenty of balls snapped at his face, but in the grand scheme of things, in Premier League actual match play, he's not out there under that kind of pressure. Mm-hmm. And I think it got to him a little bit because the third goal, yes, the scoreline was 3-0, Brighton over Tottenham. The third goal, I think he should have saved it. The second one, he did save it. He just didn't hold on to it. And the Tottenham defense just didn't react to the fact that he'd spilled the ball. Brighton, who was it for Brighton?
I think it was Connolly.
It was Connolly.
Connolly had the last 2.
Yeah. And he was ready, and he placed it out of everybody's reach, so it was a good goal. Brighton deserved to win that game.
Yes.
I'm not saying that Tottenham just kind of fell apart. They did, but that's not the only thing that happened that gave Brighton full 3 points with a 3-0 win at the MX, which, by the way, they have not scored 2 goals in one game at their home stadium since December of last year. It's been almost a year since they've scored twice on their own patch. And they scored 3.
Patch?
Yeah, patch of grass.
Oh.
Their own patch.
I thought you just said pitch.
No, patch.
Sorry.
Patch of grass.
Keep going.
All my British friends understand what I'm saying. But Tottenham, and I'm trying to figure out words I can use that I can actually say on YouTube. Tottenham looked like poo. Their defense was just a mess.
You probably have to censor that.
Poo? Anyway, their defense was a mess. I don't even know how many shots on target they had. It was few. Harry Kane, I think, touched the ball 3 times. The grand almighty Harry Kane had almost no influence on the game at all. And Pochettino, in his grand wisdom, took him and Son off.
He did put Lucas Moura on, but
who had an immediate impact.
Yes.
Tottenham started really clicking when Lucas Moura came on.
But it was not the switch that I would have made.
No, me either. I would have taken Kane off and put Moura on.
I don't know. There's very small patches of fans calling for Pochettino's exit.
I think it's getting time to start talking about it. He's just not putting anything together anymore.
It should definitely be a thought. We look at their last 6 matches. They have 1 win.
And Tottenham is in 9th place right now after week 8. Going into another international break. on the back of a loss.
And not just the loss, two losses in a row.
Yeah.
They had that big hit against Bayern Munich where they lost 7-2 at the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
At White Hart Lane.
That's
and
not Tottenham.
It's definitely not Tottenham. And to make it even, just to kind of add a little bit of spice to this whole conversation, they're not even the worst right now. I mean, when we get to the Everton match, you're going to find out how topsy-turvy this Premier League season has been. Everton is in the relegation zone. In the relegation zone. Not above it, in it. They are in solid 18th place with, after 8 games, they have 7 points. They have 5 losses out of 8 games. 5.
2 wins and a draw?
It is 2 wins and a draw. And their goal differential, I mean, they're -7 for goal differential. They're being outscored.
Not good.
No, it's not good. And you know, we were talking at the beginning, you know, there's some things that are probably going to happen. And I mentioned that there are some things that I'm surprised haven't happened. And one of those things is Marco Silva still has a job.
This is the perfect time to do it.
Do it now before it gets worse.
Or do it now before you get back from international break. Use this international break as a time to, okay, look, this isn't working. You got to go. We're going to take this time to find somebody new.
Yeah.
We can't continue doing this.
No, I mean, and you can see it in the way the players take the field. I mean, they're not having a good time, man. I mean, and they have the talent.
Yes.
You know, and they have one of the best goalkeepers in the world, and they're still not winning. You know, and that just proves that you need more than just a good goalkeeper. Mm-hmm. Look at Manchester City; they have one of the best in the world, and they just lost. You know, Tottenham. You know, Gazzaniga. You know, I don't know a whole lot about Gazzaniga,
but I mean, even with Hugo Lloris, they were losing.
That's true. That's true.
So I don't know. Everton lost to Burnley this week, 1-0. Seamus Coleman did get a red card. It was pretty late in the match, though.
Well, it was 2 yellows, but
and it was absolutely 100% deserved.
Absolutely, and I think he knew it too. You know, I mean, he didn't really protest. He was like, well, crap. You know, okay, I did it, but you know.
But and as soon as that happened and Burnley scored their first goal, I looked over to you and said, "This is it for Marco Silva."
It had to be.
It has to be.
In fact, we were watching that game. And what, that was a Sunday match?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Was it Saturday?
It was Saturday.
Anyway, but I said, first thing Monday morning, we're going to look at our phones. We're going to get a notification. Marco Silva has been sacked by the board.
And it didn't happen.
Here it is. It's at the time of this recording, it's late Tuesday afternoon. It's actually Tuesday night in England. It's 10 p.m. there right now, 10:30 p.m. And still, Marco Silva is still working for Everton Football Club. And that's absolutely mind-blowing to me.
Yes.
I can't understand what the board is thinking that, let's give him another shot. They're in the relegation zone. Now, granted, we're still 30 matches away from the end of the season. But Everton, one of the old school heavy hitters, is in the relegation zone. I've seen people get sacked for less.
And the problem is they're talking about building a new stadium.
Yeah.
You can't be talking about that if you're in the relegation zone.
No.
Because if you're not even going to be in the Premier League next season, again, it's early. It's early. Yeah. But if you're not even going to be in the Premier League next season, you are not going to be able to afford a new stadium.
No, I mean, think about it. I mean, at this point, not only no Europa League, no Champions League, but possibly no Premier League. I mean, that's a huge chunk of money coming right out of the coffers, you know, and they still have contracts to pay. I mean, you know, they got Gylfi Sigurdsson,
big
Jordan
contracts.
Pickford. Yeah, I mean, there's money to be spent.
I mean, if they get relegated, I don't think it'll happen. I think they'll fire Marco Silva and they'll bring somebody in to fix it. But if they're relegated, they lose all of that.
Yeah,
Jordan Pickford, I don't care how long of a contract Jordan Pickford signed. He's not staying.
No, and I was actually just going to say that, you know, I hope a lot of these players like Pickford and Sigurdsson have had the forethought like Jermaine Defoe and put a non-relegation clause in their contract. But I guarantee you, when these folks signed these contracts, and when Jordan Pickford signed his extension, what was a 6-year deal? Mm-hmm. When Gylfi Sigurdsson signed on to Everton, never in a million years would they have thought we might be relegated this year. I guarantee you, those players, it never crossed their mind. Player like Jermaine Defoe,
playing for
it's where he's
Stoke
been.
or Sunderland or
that's where he's been. So yeah, it crossed his mind. I want to stay in the Premier League, put a non-relegation clause in there. Okay, cool. I get it. I think it's ridiculous because he needs to be relegated. He's outclassed in every manner on a Premier League pitch. But a relegation thought never crossed their minds, and it's going to be a mess if they get relegated. Like I said, very early. There's still 8 months, basically 7 months left in the season. There's a long way to go. It may never happen. They may fire Marco Silva and somebody comes in and takes over, and gets Everton back to the grandeur that even as a Liverpool supporter I think they deserve. I mean, they're a Merseyside club and they have been around for 130 years. And Everton's one of those teams that you talk about when you talk about Manchester City or even Manchester United, who are having ridiculous struggles themselves. I think they're in 12th place right now. But you talk about Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester City, Manchester United. Everton is one of those clubs that you talk about when you talk about those big, the big boys, the big hitters, And Everton right now in 18th place with 5 losses out of 8.
Who knows? I don't know. If I were on the board at Everton, my vote would be no. He's not working. We need to find somebody new. But I'm not on the Everton board.
Right.
Yet. But
it's in the works. We're working on it.
It is absolutely not.
Hey man, dream big. If your dreams aren't big enough to scare you, they're not big enough.
Arsenal were able to pick up a win over Bournemouth, 1-0. David Luiz's first goal of the season, first goal for the Gunners. Kind of a disappointing game all around.
Yeah, there wasn't really much to that.
It did bump Arsenal up to 3rd place. I don't know how they're there, but they are.
They are. It's because Everton and United are crap in the bed. That's why Arsenal's where they are.
And Chelsea lost their first game of the season pretty big, and it took them a little bit to get started. But Villa put 5 over Norwich. That ended 5-1. Villa...
A little bit of a low-table goal fest going on there.
Yeah, I kind of wish Villa were able to play like that like the entire season. They've been very inconsistent.
Well, and that's been a pretty constant issue for Aston Villa. I mean, they're in and out of the relegation zone. They're in and out of the championship.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things.
Sheffield got a 0-0 draw with Watford.
Which is a surprising result.
Yeah, I kind of expected Sheffield to win that one.
Yeah.
Speaking of Sheffield, Dean Henderson did get his first English call-up. So congratulations to him.
It's pretty cool. Hopefully he gets some playing time this weekend.
And actually I read a little bit into it. The reason he was called up is because Tom Heaton is currently out with an injury. He withdrew himself, so they needed another goalkeeper. So I mean, despite that he had one slip up against Liverpool. He did have an amazing game against Watford. I was about to say West Ham. He did have an amazing game against West. See?
Still said it.
See? I'm all over the place right now. He had an amazing game against Watford, and I'm sure Gareth Southgate was looking at that. So he finally got a little bit more recognition. And that's exactly how you got to do it. You make a mistake in a big game, you pick your head up, move on, go forward. Forget it even happened.
And along with that, we were talking about Hugo Lloris. He did go out injured. Apparently it was a pretty severe injury. I don't know any details. They really never kind of came around and said what was going on, but just we wish him a speedy recovery. I mean,
of course.
He's one of the best. He's going to be a legend. And hopefully he's not out for a terribly long time. And You know, and in the meantime, hopefully Gazaniga can kind of, you know, pick up where Hugo or Lloris left off, and hopefully he's gonna mend well and return to action before too long.
Palace with a 2-1 win over West Ham. Palace putting in work this season. They're
in sixth.
They're sixth right now.
Yeah, when you talk about the top six, it's very rare that
You hear Palace.
we mention Crystal Palace in the top six.
So it's that's big for them. Hopefully, and they always kind of start really well, and they kind of fall off towards the end of the season. Hopefully, they can keep it up. Hopefully, Roy Hodgson can pick them up, keep them going, and finish high. For all we know, they're the Europa League team next season. You know, we had Burnley that one year. We've got Wolves this year. Maybe next year it's Palace.
Yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, they're not doing terrible. I mean, they're in sixth place. They've got 4 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses, and they're even on goals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so even when they do lose, they're not losing badly. You know,
Chelsea put 4 over Southampton, which makes me very happy.
Well, and I kind of expected that result. Chelsea's been on a little bit of a tear right now. They're starting to look more like Chelsea should look.
Yeah. And speaking of, we were just talking about call-ups. Tammy Abraham and Fikayo Tomori both received their first English call-ups as well.
Cool.
So England's kind of in a rebuilding phase right now.
Well, and I think they're
They
doing
got a
well.
lot of young talent, and it's working for Chelsea.
Well, and I think it's not terrible for England to bring in that youth like
Yes.
that, you know. And I really wish that whoever is in charge of the U.S. Soccer Association or Soccer Federation or whatever it is would take a little bit of a hint from that. You know, I mean, they keep calling up the same kids over and over and over. And why can't we win? Why can't we win? Because you got the wrong players.
Mm-hmm.
They need to start looking more at like university players, college players, instead of looking at these MLS players who it's MLS. It's major league, beep, not soccer. But anyway, so yeah, congratulations to Tammy Abraham and Tomori. Hopefully they do well.
There is one thing that I wish Tammy Abraham would fix. He did come out and say that he is looking forward to working with Harry Kane and learning from him, which kind of scares me a bit.
That's a bad idea.
Don't do that. If you're watching, I know you're not, but if you are,
It's a bad idea.
please don't do that.
Don't do that.
He's garbage.
He's not even a striker.
He's not.
He's just a guy that the ball bounces off of in the back of the net.
You are so much better than him.
By leaps and bounds.
Please don't.
If you're going to hang out with Harry Kane, make sure you teach him something.
Yes. Maybe he'll get better from working with you.
Can't get worse.
That's true. And then lastly, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's woes continue.
Another thing I'm surprised hasn't happened yet.
I don't get it.
I would have thought he'd have been done by now.
Yes.
Don't get it
They can't seem to score at this point.
At this point, they have more draws and more losses than they have wins.
Let's look at
They're 2-3-3.
They haven't won their last 5. Their last win was their first Europa League game.
Wow. How long ago was that? A month?
September 19th.
Yep.
They lost to West Ham, so technically they did win at Rochdale for the Carabao Cup. It was on penalties. They drew 1-1 in full time.
These are teams they should be clubbing.
Yes. And then they drew 1-1 with Arsenal, drew 0-0 with AZ Alkmaar in the Europa League.
Bless you.
Exactly. And then lost 1-0 with Newcastle on Sunday.
To Newcastle. You heard that right, folks. Newcastle beat Manchester United.
So that means so far this season, Newcastle have beaten both Man United and Tottenham Hotspur.
They're looking to be the season's giant killers, man. I mean,
when did Newcastle play Liverpool?
I don't know.
I know
that would be something, man.
Yeah, that would be insane. But I mean,
my heart hurt. I would cry.
Yeah, I mean, there have been so many weird switches this week. this season.
Yeah, I mean it's been for the eight match days. It's been kind of topsy turvy.
And real quick, I do want to say something because something came out the other day. Liverpool haven't won the league yet. It's not over.
No, and it's been 30 years.
Remember the last time that they were ahead? The last 2 times that they were ahead?
Yeah, the famous Gerrard slip.
And they bottled it like they bottled it last year.
They didn't bottle nothing last year.
Look, I'm calling it.
You shut up, Chelsea.
Right now. Chelsea's winning the league this year.
I firmly believe that Chelsea's going to make a run for the title.
I don't know.
I really do. They have the youth, they have the depth, they have the skill, and I think they have the right manager now. And they've got the fans back behind them. I think their confidence is going to start growing more and more. And with Tammy Abraham scoring goals, I mean, what's he scored? Like
9.
And he's 9 goals in 8 matches.
8 goals.
Okay, 8 and 8.
He's currently
That's a darn good record.
He's tied with Sergio Aguero for Golden Boot right now.
There you go. But I think Chelsea, I think it's going to come down again between Liverpool and City, and I think Chelsea's going to be in there. I'm telling you right now, you can discount Tottenham unless something really changes. I think we can go ahead and discount Everton and Manchester United unless something really, really changes. Seriously. Arsenal, I think, are not too shabby.
Arsenal
I think
have a lot to work with, though. A lot to work on.
They have a lot to work on, and they have the room for improvement, and I think they have the players to do it.
And I think Unai Emery, I think they stick with Unai Emery.
I think so, too. I think they'd be foolish right now because they're not doing awful. They're in 3rd place right now. Not a terrible place to be at week 8. Can they keep it up? That still remains to be seen because Arsenal had a pretty shaky end of the last season. And I thought for sure Unai Emery was out of a job sometime last season. They kind of picked it up a little bit. They weren't looking terrible.
They've had a kind of a shaky start, but they've been able to get the points, which is what matters, obviously.
Right.
So,
but yeah, I think Chelsea's going to be up there, and I guarantee you that's Frank Lampard's goal. I promise you, he's
absolutely.
telling his players week in, week out, every day on the training pitch, we're going to win the champion. We're going to win the championship this year. We are going to win the league title. That is what we, and he should, he should be telling his guys that, and just find a way to motivate these young dynamic players to do that for him. And I think the potential's there. I think it's going to be coming toward the end of the season in another 7 months. I think it's going to be really exciting. I think we're going to see a lot of surprises, even more surprises than we have in the last 8 match days. But yeah, Liverpool, City, and Chelsea are going to be, in some order, those are going to be your top 3 teams. I'm going to call that right now. I really, really think this is Liverpool's year.
I do too.
I'm not going to discount Manchester City. They've hit a couple of speed bumps, but it's Manchester City. When they lose, they come back and absolutely annihilate whoever's next.
Who are they playing next? Who are they playing next week? Who are they going to murder next week? Aston Villa.
Aston Villa is going to get
calling it 5-0.
I'm going to say 5-1 because Villa's got a little bit of confidence right now. They just scored 5 goals. I think they're going to at least put 1 past Ederson. But I think that's just going to really tick off Manchester City.
They lost to Norwich and then came back the next week and put 8 against Watford.
8. It was over. The game was
in the 18th
over.
minute. It was done.
It was over in 10. There was 80 minutes of just pudding after that. I mean, it was all dessert. Or pudding, whatever you like for dessert. I don't know.
See, next week, big games. Oh, what am I talking about?
After international break?
Next week. After international break, City plays Palace, not Villa. Stupid.
I'll still say 5-1.
I don't know. I don't think it's be 5-1. Palace are on a tear right now.
I'll still say 5-1.
I'm gonna say 4-2.
Okay.
I'm gonna say 4-2.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't think that's a bad scoreline. I mean,
but coming back from international break, Everton are gonna lose to West Ham. They're gonna play West Ham. Chelsea have Newcastle.
I think that should be fairly easy.
Leicester have Burnley.
I think Leicester's going to win that one.
I don't know. You gotta remember, Newcastle have beaten Tottenham and United this season.
I think Chelsea's better than both of those teams.
Tottenham have Watford.
Tottenham should win that game.
City have Palace. They should have
Should.
also beaten Brighton.
Well, that's true.
And then I know that Liverpool's next game it could be the record setter. Most league wins in a row against United at
Old Trafford. And I think it's going to be a little bit of a test for them. Hopefully they can keep their nerve and understand that United is struggling. They may make some serious changes and change tactics, change formations, things like that. They do have some injuries. I don't know if Paul Pogba's back yet.
I did see a video of him doing some pretty heavy training.
Okay, so is he back to full training? But anyway, I'm not going to say it's going to be a walk in the park for Liverpool. I think they're going to have to play. It is Old Trafford. It's a very historic, very storied,
very hard
atmosphere.
It's very difficult to beat United at Old Trafford.
I mean, the sound there is apparently cacophonous. I mean, and it's all Manchester United fans, and it's a pretty big rivalry. I would say that the rivalry between Liverpool and Manchester United is a bigger rivalry than the Merseyside derby. I think this is a bigger match. But yeah, it's going to be. I think it's going to be a test. I don't think it's going to be their hardest test. That's yet to come. With Manchester City, I think that's going to be the real test of what Liverpool is capable of this season. But I think they're going to have to step up. They're going to have to get out of their brains a little bit, and they're going to have to play some of Jurgen Klopp's famous heavy metal football.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a good match. I hope.
I'm pretty excited.
I hope it's the one that ends Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's career.
I'm gonna go ahead and preemptively. Wasn't Liverpool the one that put Jose Mourinho out of a job?
It is.
Oh my goodness. Things are getting exciting up in here.
Not biased at all.
I don't know. I have a couple pieces of news.
Do it, man.
It's not much news. We said goodbye to some legends over the past couple days. First, Jill Ellis, the U.S. Women's National Team head coach, left. She has ended her tenure. She is the first coach to win 2 back-to-back Women's World Cups. And she is also the winningest coach in U.S. women's history.
Is she the first U.S. coach to win back-to-back?
No,
she's the first coach ever.
Coach.
Wow.
She's not the first team. Germany won back-to-back previously, but they had 2 different coaches. She is the first coach to win back-to-back Women's World Cups.
Outstanding.
Which is pretty big.
I think so.
We said goodbye to Timmy Howard.
Yes.
He has officially announced his retirement from football after the Colorado Rapids did not make the MLS playoffs this season. I know they were pretty close. I think they had to win their game and they didn't. But thank you, Timmy. The Department of Defense still has the record for most saves in a World Cup game ever, which is pretty cool. And we also say goodbye to Bastian Schweinsteiger, who has announced his retirement today as of recording this. He was playing with Chicago Fire in the MLS as well. Three big names left us over the past couple of days.
Good luck to everybody.
And, we wish them the best of luck in whatever they do next in their lives.
If you got a couple minutes, come by Wilmington and we'll sit you down on the show.
Why not? If you're watching.
I'll even buy you lunch.
Might as well. I'll buy him lunch. I would love to have lunch with Timmy Howard. You kidding me?
No kidding. Me too.
But
I'd have lunch with any of them for sure, man. Anyway.
That's all I have.
So that is all I have. I have nothing more. I have nothing more to give. I've given it all. 100% right there.
Well, I need you to give me one more thing.
Okay.
I need you to take us out.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. This is Inside the Six with Ian and Thomas. We really appreciate it. Click the like button. Click the bell so you get notifications. Make sure you subscribe. Check out the t-shirt shop. Links are all there and bios and all that stuff. thanks to Thomas. He does all of the production and editing and the posting and everything. He does all the technical stuff.
We'll be live again soon, I promise.
As soon as he gets that figured out, we'll do live again. It was way much more fun. But anyway, leave us comments. Let us know what you want to talk about.
A lot easier too.
Yeah, let us know what you guys think about what we're talking about. Chime in, give us some comments. We really appreciate that. Big thanks to our good friend Macrophonic MC. He lets us use his music for the intro and the outro. That's his music you're hearing. His links are there as well. He's a very talented artist. Check him out. He's one of the old school MCs. And super good dude. He's actually on the set right now of Halloween Kills, which is being filmed here in our town.
I saw the set today. It was right behind my school.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
And he's really excited about that. But special thanks to him. And special thanks to you guys for checking us out. And we really appreciate it. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Dear Mr. A&R, we all struggling artists. Realize the world is cold, but we came here to spark it. Swimming little guppies in a sea full of sharks. It's gonna take a miracle to not end up hard.